Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are going to dive into what is, honestly, the ultimate biological detective story. We're about to completely shatter what you thought you knew about extinction. Seriously, we're exploring a phenomenon that challenges the very finality of the fossil record. It's a story of survival against all odds, where animals that science had completely written off somehow managed to cling to existence right under our noses. We usually think of extinction as, well, the end of the road, right? A permanent end to a genetic lineage. Game over. But today we're looking at the far right of what scientists call the extinction spectrum. What happens when we are forced to reconsider that absolute zero? There's this handful of the world's most unique species that have pulled off the ultimate vanishing act. We're talking about species declared extinct, sometimes for millions of years, only to be astonishingly rediscovered. For these creatures, the probability of extinction suddenly shifted from absolute certainty right back to zero. Scientists actually have a name for these incredible survivors. They're called a Lazarus taxon. Named after the biblical figure who was raised from the dead, these are animals that science firmly believed were gone, only to discover they were just, incredibly good at hiding. It's a profound anomaly in the biological sciences. Now, it doesn't mean they magically resurrected. Actually, it means they survived extreme genetic bottlenecks and retreated to highly isolated areas, managing to stay shielded from whatever pressures wiped out the rest of their kind. Now, real quick, it is absolutely crucial to distinguish between a Lazarus taxon and a standard living fossil. A living fossil is an organism that has stayed largely unchanged over millions of years, but here's the key: we always knew it was around. A Lazarus taxon, on the other hand, is defined by its dramatic disappearance and its shocking reappearance. Though, as you'll see with our very first case file, sometimes an animal manages to be both. Let's dive right into these incredible stories. Section 1. Giants of Ocean and Alp. The Sovereign Resurrections. Let's start with a massive one, the Coelacanth. This deep-sea lobe-finned fish was an absolute sovereign of the abyss. Get this, its unique fins were actually thought to be the evolutionary precursors to the limbs of four-legged land animals. But it completely disappeared from the fossil record alongside the dinosaurs 66 million years ago. So imagine the absolute shock in the scientific community when, in December of 1938, one was miraculously caught by local trawlmen off the coast of South Africa. It was a living, breathing link to the Devonian period, just casually swimming in our modern oceans. How did it hide? Well, it retreated to deep-sea volcanic caves at depths of up to 2,500 feet. That's an environment that simply does not favor fossil formation. All right, moving from the deep sea all the way to the alpine tussocks of New Zealand, Dr. Geoffrey Orbell used these vivid words back in 1948 when he rediscovered the Takahē. This is a gorgeous, goose-sized, flightless bird that had been presumed extinct since 1898 because of intense hunting and introduced predators. But Orbell, he had a hunch. He tracked some unfamiliar footprints deep into the rugged subalpine Murchison Mountains. When he finally found them, he described their coloring as truly glorious, specifically noting their crayfish red beaks and navy blue heads. His meticulous search proved that the Takahē had survived all those years in a totally isolated mountain fortress. Section 2. Relics in the Rocks. Surviving Extreme Habitats. So how in the world did these animals stay hidden from humanity for decades or centuries or literally millions of years? Well, often it's by retreating to the most inhospitable rock formations on the planet. Take these next three species, for example. The gaps between when we thought they died out and their dramatic rediscoveries are absolutely mind-blowing. We're talking about creatures that completely slipped through the cracks of human observation only to pop back up when we least expected it. Let's look at how they pulled off these vanishing acts. First up, we have the Lord Howe Stick Insect. These hand-sized insects, affectionately called tree lobsters, were super common on Lord Howe Island. That is, until a shipwreck in the 1920s introduced rats that entirely devoured the population. They were presumed completely eradicated. But fast forward 80 years to 2001, and scientists found a tiny, miraculous population of just 24 live insects. Where? Clinging to life on Ball's Pyramid. Now, Ball's Pyramid is this isolated, barren, nearly vertical volcanic sea stack out in the Pacific Ocean. They survived by utilizing a structural refuge that those invasive rats simply couldn't reach. Next is the Chacoan Peccary, also called the tagua. This thing is basically a ghost from the Pleistocene epoch. Known to Western science only from 11,000-year-old fossil remains, this large, pig-like mammal was considered a lost member of South America's megafauna. But then, in 1971, zoologists found it completely alive and well in the Gran Chaco, which is this vast, semi-arid region spanning Paraguay, Argentina, and Bolivia. Here's the kicker though. The animal was actually well known to the local indigenous people the whole time. It had just been completely overlooked by Western science because of the region's extreme heat and literally impenetrable thorny scrub. And then we have the Laotian Rock Rat, which is famously dubbed the Coelacanth of rodents. Western scientists were utterly baffled to find this bizarre rat squirrel just hanging out in a meat market in Laos in 1996. They actually thought it was a brand new taxonomic family at first, but by 2006, paleontology confirmed it was the sole survivor of a family thought to have gone extinct 11 million years ago. And again, while scientists were totally stunned, local Laotian villagers were perfectly familiar with the creature, knowing it lived hidden away in the rugged local karst limestone formations. Section 3. Canopy and Snow Survivors. The accidental discoveries. You know, sometimes finding an extinct animal isn't the result of some meticulously planned scientific expedition. Sometimes it's just pure, bizarre coincidence. Take the Peruvian yellow-tailed woolly monkey. First described from a pelt back in 1812, this really rare cloud forest monkey lives in a very specific, small area of the Andes Mountains in Peru. It went completely unseen by scientists after 1926 and was naturally written off as extinct. But it was brought back from the dead in 1974 when scientists miraculously stumbled upon one being kept as a pet in Brazil. I mean, what are the odds? This accidental discovery of an illegally kept animal sparked new expeditions, which led to finding wild populations. Today, it's such a big deal, it even features on Peru's currency. Dr. William Ride perfectly captures the absolute joy of our next discovery. He said, "The dream dreamed by every paleontologist had come true. The dry bones of the fossil had come together and were covered with sinews, flesh, and skin." It's just a beautiful way to put it, and it brings us to the snowy alpine boulder fields of Australia for one of the most delightful resurrections on record. Get ready for what is probably the most adorable rediscovery ever. Let me introduce you to the mountain pygmy possum. Now, this is a tiny animal. It weighs 45 grams. To put that in perspective, that is the exact same weight as a hard-boiled egg. It was initially known to science only through 15,000-year-old fragmented jaw bones and teeth found in limestone blocks. But on a frosty morning in August 1966, some skiers hanging out at a Mount Hotham ski hut found a strange, bug-eyed rat, completely alive, running around and, get this, stealing bacon right off their stove. The skiers captured it, affectionately named the little guy George, and handed him over to scientists, initiating a massive eureka moment in Australian biology. Section 4. The Science of Survival. How did they hide? Okay, so as amazing as these stories are, from deep-sea catches to bacon-stealing possums, how do you actually cheat extinction? Well, it really comes down to incredible evolutionary resilience. First, they utilize what's called structural refugia. These are highly isolated habitats, like deep-sea caves, vertical sea stacks, or impenetrable thorny scrubs, where human predation and invasive species simply cannot reach them. Secondly, they use extreme metabolic adaptations. Take that mountain pygmy possum, for example. It's actually the only hibernating marsupial in all of Australia. It survives by gorging on migrating bogong moths to build up fat reserves, which allows it to undergo a massive 7-month metabolic shutdown under the snow. That's how you survive. But here's the thing. Surviving the past doesn't automatically guarantee survival in the future. To ensure these magnificent creatures don't go extinct a second time, especially as climate change threatens critical resources like those bogan moths, we've got to act. Conservation science tells us we need a 3-step approach. 1, we must aggressively protect their specialized geographic refugia. 2, we absolutely have to eradicate invasive predators like rats and feral cats from those zones. And finally, we must utilize intensive, hands-on translocation and captive breeding programs to help stabilize their vulnerable populations. Ultimately, these resurrections are the ultimate symbol of hope in conservation. They remind us that nature is just wildly resilient. I mean, think about it. If the Coelacanth can hide in the dark depths of the ocean for 66 million years, surviving asteroid impacts and shifting continents, what other beautiful mysteries are still hiding in the wild? What else is out there right now just waiting to be rediscovered? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep your eyes open and keep learning.